Hey everybody, welcome to Matt's Metal Show. Yeah. Today we're going to talk about Van Halen. Yeah, Van Halen, one of my favorite bands of all time. To a certain point, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, last year in October 6, 2020, we lost Eddie Van Halen. And that was fucking mind blowing. Like I remember, like fuck, I remember these days. I remember when we lost Neil Peart the same year last year. Same with Eddie. I remember like a buddy of mine, because I don't sit there on my phone going over social media all the fucking time. I hate that shit. Sometimes I do fall down the rabbit hole, watch like Pete Pardo doing Sea of Tranquility with all his lists and stuff. Today I watched like the Hudson Valley Squares, like Sea of Tranquility, where they were talking about like 3 albums that they just don't get. And it was crazy because some of them were fucking awesome picks. And some of them were like, what? There's a chick on there named Sydney, and she picked Moving Pictures. Like she didn't understand it. Like she got a lot of shit for that. But I don't sit there on social media, but like, so sometimes people have to like go, hey dude, did you see this? That's what happened with Neil. Chick that me and my buddy Matt have known since high school. She texted us, was like, is this real? And we found out Neil had passed away. Same with Eddie Van Halen. Like I wasn't sitting there on Twitter or whatever. One of my buddies, I think it was my buddy Jeremy, he was all, did you see this? And I was like, what is this? And then I was like, I remember I was sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and I was like, wow. My chick Jamie came out and she was like, what are you doing? I go, fuck, Eddie Van Halen died. And she was like, wow. And I was like it felt like a part of my fucking childhood fucking died that day. It really did. Growing up with Van Halen. The earlier Van Halen I didn't get into until later because, it was in the 70s. I was a young kid. So a lot of the times people loved certain kinds of music because it was around when they were like the most influenced by music. So for me, Van Halen, my first like Van Halen kind of introduction was probably like 82, like Diver Down. And then like in 1984, I actually saw them on the 1984 tour with Dave Lee Roth, and that was fucking amazing. At the San Diego Sports Arena, Van Halen. God, I can't remember who opened for them. They always had really shitty opening bands. Not in the early days. I mean, in the early days, they opened for Black Sabbath, and then they had like good bands. They opened for Kiss too, I want to say. But then most of the time, Van Halen, I remember on the 5150 tour, they had Bachman Turner Overdrive. All these Van Halen kids are out there like, fucking Van Halen, and then fucking Bachman Turner Overdrive comes out, and they're singing Taking Care of Business. Taking care of business every day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking care of business, but it was fucking weird. Rush used to do that a lot too. They had like FM, Tommy Shaw, Steve Morris. Like they had all these. They had Gary Moore fucking open for them. I want to say Grace Under Pressure tour. Fucking Gary Moore. So, I'm gonna do a fucking Gary Moore show because I fucking miss Gary Moore. Gary Moore's fucking amazing. But we're talking about Van Halen. I remember sitting there reading the news. His son Wolfgang posted it on Instagram. There had been rumors and all this stuff. We all knew like there was something wrong with Eddie because Eddie wasn't producing, and he hadn't been producing in a lot of years. I mean, they did that album with David Lee Roth after, I think Van Halen 3 was 1998, and then fucking A Different Kind of Truth was 2012. There's this huge gap, 14 years gap, where Eddie didn't really do anything. And, the ailments, we all heard whispers and rumors, and people would see him, and there was little whispers of a giant tour coming out at the beginning of last year. I remember that. the beginning of like 2020, there was these whispers like, "Oh, dude." And David Lee Roth started off. He's all, "Oh yeah, hey, you might see us in the summertime, doing like giant stadium and shit like that, you know." Because Dave can't keep his mouth shut. He's fucking excited. And then that kind of disappeared. And then fucking COVID hit, and nobody was fucking touring. And then started to hear little whispers. I think Eddie's doing good. But then you would see him pop up on like Instagram or Twitter, and people were taking pictures of him like at a car dealership and shit. And he looked perfectly fine. And then we got the news like in October. His son posted that he had passed away from cancer. He had been fighting cancer for a long time. And that's the whole mystique about Van Halen. The problem is, Eddie was a private person. His family's private. They don't sit there and post all this shit. You know, they don't go on Good Morning America and say, I'm Eddie Van Halen, I have fucking cancer, you know, fuck. So it was quiet. And so it leads to a bunch of speculation, and it leads to a bunch of weird shit. And then you, as fans, we don't know what the fuck's going on. So we start going like, what's this huge gap? Like, where the fuck is Eddie Van Halen? I mean, you know, for years they would put out an album, then start stretching out a little bit in the Sammy Hagar era, and then like all of a sudden, then it just fucking dried up. And you were like, as an amazing guitar player, a guy that fucking changed the world, we weren't getting a lot of Eddie Van Halen. It was mystifying to us. Of course, we come to find out after the fact, you know, that Eddie was going through a lot of stuff. I mean, at one point, his son said he had a brain tumor, you know, and they got that fixed, and then just shit started stacking up, and unfortunately, Eddie, you know, he didn't make it. And, man, just looking back, when I was a kid, the thing about Van Halen was, and it was David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen and everything, but all of us kids, man, we didn't want to be David Lee Roth. We wanted to be Eddie fucking Van Halen, man. I mean, Eddie just, he always had his Frankenstrad, you know, and he always just looked like he was having fun. Every picture you saw of Eddie on stage, he just had that smile, you know, and he was just fucking playing shit that just blew your fucking mind. So I can remember, you know, like I said, my first introduction was probably like Diver Down, you know, and, you know, with that funny Pretty Woman video. It's funny where, like, you know, Mikey's, or Eddie's a cowboy and Mikey's a sumo wrestler, I think, and what was Alex? I think he was Tarzan, and David Lee Roth was Napoleon. Perfect fit, Dave. So, like, and then, you know, as growing up, you know, you start to go back. Like always said, you know, you discover a band at a certain period when it's right for you, and then you kind of go back and see. And when I went back to the first 4 Van Halen albums, holy shit, I was blown away. And I'm still blown away to this day. Those first 4 Van Halen albums are 4 of my favorite albums ever. So ranking these was really difficult. The bottom is easy, or pretty easy, and then the top was really hard because I had to really go through. I was listening to them today, and I was like, Jesus, you know. But I always rank albums like, you know, people's perception of albums is like, well, that's the best album that they ever did. And I get that. Part of my ranking is like the best, but also like my favorite album that I would take right now and pop on and listen to like the whole thing and go, yeah. And that's how I rank them. I rank the 12 Van Halen albums in that particular order. Eddie Van Halen was part of my childhood, man. Van Halen was part of my childhood. Just like with Kiss and a lot of bands, you know, I was really young when they were first coming out. So I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't like 8 years old when the first Van Halen album came out. And I wasn't like, oh, dude, I love Van Halen, because I was fucking 8 years old. I was playing with Star Wars figures and shit, you know, which are right there. Oh, yeah, all my Star Wars figures. Ooh. Someday I'll do a tour of the room with all this shit that I have. So yeah, man, let's do it. Van Halen was a band that started out in Pasadena, California in the early 70s. They were mammoth. They were a party band. They used to play in the backyards of parties and do high schools, and played a couple shows with Quiet Riot with Randy Rhoads. They started out, I want to say they were in Gazaris. Were they in Gazaris? Starwood, Troubadour, those kind of things. They were a Sunset Strip band. They were from Pasadena. They picked up David Lee Roth. You know, the story goes is that they grabbed Dave because he had a PA and they could practice in the basement of his dad's doctor's office, or was it his house? I can't remember, because Dave was rich. You know, his dad was a doctor. The Van Halen brothers, you know, they were like middle class. Michael Anthony, you know, they were middle class. But Dave, his dad was a doctor, so he had fucking money. So, yeah, and then the mighty Van Halen. Here we go. We're going to go all 12 Van Halen albums in my order. Like I said, the bottom is pretty easy. But the top, woo. So let's get going here. We'll talk about some Van Halen. Yeah. Number 12. 1998, Van Halen 3. What can we talk about Van Halen 3? Oh, let's see. It had that cover with the guy getting shot in the stomach by a cannon. It said Van Halen 3, which was kind of mystifying to some because people were like, wait, is this like Van Halen 1 or Van Halen and then Van Halen 2 and then this is Van Halen 3? Is that what they're saying? They were actually talking kind of about like the third incarnation, if you want to say, of Van Halen with their new singer Gary Cherone. And Gary was from Extreme. Great singer. You watch the videos, he's kind of odd. He's kind of, I don't know, that he fit entirely into the band, and I think there was a lot of like turmoil there, but he's a great singer. So did he fit with Van Halen? That's up for speculation. A lot of people bag on this album. I like Dirty Water Dog. That's a cool song. Josefina is a cool fucking song. Year to the Day, it's like 8.5 minutes long. It's like Jesus. And the very last song on this is called How Many Say I, which is basically just like Eddie playing on piano and he sings. Eddie sings. And everything that Eddie said, like he was forced to sing. And it's like, sure, first of all, you're in your own fucking studio, so I'm pretty sure like you were calling the shots. But he sings and then Gary kind of comes in, does backing. It's a weird thing to hear, but it's not awful. This album's not awful. Some people fucking hate this fucking album. They're just like, oh, fuck. Nothing Van Halen ever did was awful. But it's not good, you know. There's some cool stuff on here, but then Van Halen was kind of mess at this time. They had a really messy divorce from Sammy Hagar. Gary's in the band. They clicked, you know, they jammed together and they clicked, so they were like, fuck it, let's make an album. They had a good time doing it, but there was a lot of baggage on this album, a lot of, you know, addiction and health problems and all this shit. You know, these guys were in bad shape. I think Michael Anthony only played on a couple of tracks. And, you know, that's the big debate over the years because, you know, now stuff comes to light. It's like, well, how much bass did Eddie play on the early Van Halen albums? And then, like, there's a point where, like, Michael Anthony kind of signed a part of his taking Van Halen away. And then there's a lot of, you know, speculation that Michael didn't really have a lot of input and that he was just the guy and, you know, he's partying and drinking Jack Daniels and shit. Love his backing vocals are amazing. But, yeah, this album is kind of weird. It's got a weird feel. I listened to it not a bunch, but I've listened to it a few times, and need some bowl here. Oh yeah. Still fighting off just a little bit of cold, but hey, we're working through. We're pushing on. Yeah, Van Halen 3, 1998. People didn't like it. Van Halen, I don't remember they toured. I know they toured because there's some live stuff, but it was like when Motley Crue went out with John Corabi. It was just they could handle Sammy because Sammy seemed like the next logical step for Poppy Van Halen, but this one was like a head scratcher. But at the time, man, like what? Balance came out in '95, so this is 3 years after Balance, which was kind of a wreck too. Fans were struggling to understand like what the fuck is going on. So that's all I'm going to say about that album. Not one I reach for very often. So we're going to go boom, boom, boom. Number 11, Balance. It's got that weird picture on the cover with the like Siamese twin little prepubescent naked girls on a teeter-totter. It's one of those awkward album covers that people looked at and were like, don't put weird, deformed, naked kids on the cover of your fucking album. Jesus Christ. I mean, you could go fucking Virgin Killer, straight up Virgin Killer from fucking Scorpions if you want to and get, fucking labeled as a bunch of fucking sex offenders and have that band fucking all over the world. You could do that. I mean, that was just an awkward album. And then that album cover just doesn't do it any fucking help. I love Seven Seal. That's a fucking great song. Over the years, I've softened a little bit on the Sammy Hagar era stuff. I can remember, I will be honest with you, when that first went on, I fucking hated that shit. And I was like, David Lee Roth, But over the years, some of the Sammy stuff's pretty cool. Like I said, Seven Seal's good. Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. That's a cool song. Aftershock. And I like the song Feelin' too. There's some instrumentals on here. Eddie always had to do a little blurb like Spanish Fly or something like that. In the later years, he does one on here. It's called Strung Out. And it just sounds like he's like playing with the strings after the bridge on his guitar. It's fucking awful. It reminded me of like FX from fucking Volume 4 of Black Sabbath. It's just like something that, skip. And then there's another one called Doing Time, and it's like Alex, and it's like, it sounds like that fucking part in Tarzan, like the Disney movie where all the apes like sneak into the camp and they're playing, it's like Phil Collins, but they're like playing on fucking pots and pans and shit. That's what it sounds like. It's like, I've never been like utterly fascinated with Alex Van Halen. And there's a reason why, and I'll get to it when I get to the album that I'm going to talk about. But, yeah, it's just, this album, there was a lot of stress, a lot of kind of because there was a live album before this. It was called Right Here, Right Now. It came out in 93, like 2 years before this. Because there was kind of a big gap between For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge and Balance. There's like a 4-year gap. And in between that time, Sammy wanted to take a break. These guys, they were giving him a hard time. And if you read his book, he's like, he said the first, like, however many years from 86 to 93 or 95, he was in the band. So 86 to 95, almost 9 years. He said, like, the first 8 years were amazing. And he said the last year was complete hell. And I think most of it stemmed from that live album that they came out with Right Here, Right Now, which was like 141 minutes. It was fucking massive. But it included like a 20-minute guitar solo from Eddie and a 40-minute fucking drum solo and a fucking bass solo. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. It was like, do you want to listen to Michael Anthony play bass solo? And Michael's a cool dude, man. I've hung out with him. He's cool as fuck, but I don't want to hear him fucking do a bass solo for fucking 10 minutes. And I don't want to hear Alex Van Halen do a fucking drum solo. Because, like I said, I understand. Alex is perfect for that band. He's got that Van Halen fucking sound. But I don't think of him as a fucking... He's not in my, like, list of drummers that just pop into my head. You know, you go, oh, who's your favorite drummers? You're like, oh, fuck, Neil Peart, fucking John Bonham, fucking Bill Ward, fucking, you know... And then you start fucking listing off people. And Alex isn't on that hand, at least. He might be. No, he's probably. No, he's not there. So, anyways, there's a reason why I talk about it. But, balance. Don't really reach for it. There was a lot of years that I owned all the Van Halen albums forever. But there was a lot of years where I never even fucking listened to Balance. By the time Balance was, you know, I was never fucking listened to it. I probably listened to it once and was like, eh. But like in the last couple of months, you know, especially since Eddie passed away, I've gone through and like listened to all the fucking Van Halen again, just to fucking kind of digest some of the stuff that I might have missed. And Balance is, you know, it's a fucking Sammy Hagar, Van Hagar album with a lot of fucking anxiety and, you know, so that's number 11. Boom! Number 10. The one right before that. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. They wanted to call it that. I think it was like Sammy Hagar used to hang out with boxers. Like, was it Ray Mancini? One of those guys. They wanted to call the album like Fuck. You know? And he's like, well, why do you call it For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge? That's what fuck stands for. Which... true, but so that's what they called it. They called it For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, which, you know, it's called Fuck, basically. That's the name of the album. So Van Halen, good job, man. Woo, they got an album called Fuck. Came out in 1991. I will tell you without a doubt, when this album came out, I fucking loathed it. I loathed Van Halen. Van Halen, you know, they did Right Now on this. This is a fucking Pepsi commercial for like Crystal Pepsi. Remember that clear Pepsi that came out like around 91, 90? Yeah. This was the anthem for that song. In fact, Billy Joel made fun of it in fucking We Didn't Start the Fire. He's like, rock and roll cola wars. I can't take it anymore. He's talking about fucking Van Halen, dude. Because, you know, they right here, right now. Oh, drink a fucking Pepsi. You're like, whoa. Fucking sold your souls, eh? That's not why I hated this album. I hated this album because of Pound Cake. I remember MTV was sputtering, was still alive, but I remember the video, you know, and Eddie comes out with the drill, which he kind of ripped off from like Paul Gilbert. But he's like, and I just remember like this song, and I just fucking hated everything about fucking Van Halen at this point. I did. I was just like, what the fuck, you know? You know, I was, what, 21 years old? You know, I had a kid and shit. I was like hugely into Van Halen, but at the same time, I was like, you guys have fucking. And then they come out with a Pepsi commercial and shit like that. Never fucking gave this album a chance ever. Because it's like a certain point in your life where you're just like, what the fuck, dude? I mean, you know, you remember back to like fucking, you know, Fair Warning, and then you go to this, and you're just like, fucking night and day, dude. Eddie wasn't doing anything spectacular on this album, but I do like a couple of songs. Pleasure Dome is good. The Dream is Over, I like. Right Now, you know, the pop song for Crystal Pepsi. 316 or 316, that's a blurb that he always did in his guitar solo, like around like maybe 1984, but I know on like the 5150 era, like this was always kind of part of Eddie's solo. And then he finally recorded it, and he recorded it for Wolfgang, his son, because he was, you know, a baby, or he'd just been born, I think. And Top of the World's cool. I don't like fucking In and Out. I don't like fucking Pound Cake. I don't Spanked. I didn't like. I don't know when Sammy Hagar was being like a creeper. I I was never a huge Sammy Hagar fan. Like I like Sammy Hagar fan, or I like Sammy Hagar, but like marginally. I never viewed Sammy Hagar as this huge star before he joined Van Halen. Um, I was too young to listen to the Montrose stuff. The Sammy Hagar solo stuff. I mean, we all knew like I Can't Drive 55 and Three Lock Box and stuff like that, but it wasn't like Sammy Hagar wasn't like I didn't know anybody that was like, oh dude, I fucking love Sammy Hagar. I got a fucking Sammy Hagar shirt. And we were, out of high school, but like even back in the high school days, I didn't know anybody that was like in Rick Derringer. Like Rick Derringer's cool, but I didn't know anybody that was like fucking in love with Rick Derringer, jamming out rock and roll hoochie coo. So Sammy Hagar to me was like a lower echelon guy that joined Van Halen, and then it became Van Hagar. So, like I said, man, I fucking loathed this album when it came out, so I didn't really give it a shot. It's number 10. God. Got the COVID, man. Got the COVID. Just kidding. I'm fucking cold. The fucking weather keeps changing here. Like, one day it's fucking cold and, fucking misty outside, and then the next day it's 90 fucking degrees, and then it goes back and forth, and fuck, every time it does it, I get fucking sick. So my voice is awesome! Van Halen. All right, number 9, Going Diver Down. I know a lot of people have softened on this album over the years, and I have too. But I remember, to me, this marked like the spot where Van Halen kind of lost something. The first 4 Van Halen albums were really like live. You could hear them fucking up. You could hear little bits and pieces where they're like, oh, oops, and shit like that. They put it on the fucking album. Diver Down was that first Van Halen album where it was like studio, boom, cut and dry, pasted together, whatever. Didn't have that live feel to it. I will tell you, it has some of my favorite songs on it. But it has a shitload of cover tunes. And I remember when Van Halen came out with this, I think they did Pretty Woman, and it was like a single, and they wanted to take some time, but Warner Brothers record company was like, no, you got to put out another fucking album, strike while the iron's hot, and that was a lot of, in the 70s and the 80s, even on into the 90s, record companies, they fucking tell you what to do, and so bands did it. But I can remember when this album came out, a lot of fans were disappointed because it's super short, but then all the Van Halen albums were fucking short. And not until the later years where you're like, please shorten them back up. Average Van Halen album was 35 minutes, man. It was. Look at all the fucking Van Halen albums. It was like 35 minutes. They do like 8 or 9, 10 songs. A lot of them were like 2.5 minutes long. They just fucking put it out and went on tour. And that's kind of what they did. So they were kind of pushed around a little bit by Warner Brothers to put out an album. So they did a bunch of cover tunes. And a lot of people like shit on this album, and I was one of them. Back in the day, I fucking hated this album. I thought it was like, what the fuck is this? I was like 13 years old, but and they do Happy Trails, from like Dale Evans, and then they went and they played the US Festival, and you watch that US Festival, like Dave Lee Roth sitting next to Joe Walsh in a fucking meeting. He's coked out of his fucking skull, and he's all fucking drunk and shit, and they paid them like $1.2 million to play, and they figured out it was like $17,000 a minute that they were on stage. And you can watch it, it's on YouTube. They're fucked up, dude. They're drunk, and David Lee Roth, you can't even remember the lyrics and shit like that. They're all just having fun. But it's funny because, like, Dave's kind of, he's all coked out. He's fucking saying stupid shit. But Eddie and them, they're all just having fun. But, yeah, I remember this album was just like, to me, it was like, oh, okay. It was like Pretty Woman, Dance in the Street, Happy Trails. Where Have All the Good Times Gone from the Kinks? I fucking dig that song. I dig that song, the Kinks version. I dig the David Bowie version. I dig the fucking Van Halen version. But it does have Hang 'Em High is fucking one of my favorite fucking Van Halen songs ever. One ear to the road, he's listening to the dead. Right? I'm going to do a lot of singing today because my fucking voice is shot out, but Hang 'Em High is fucking great. There was a lot of little blurb intros into the songs. You had Cathedral, which was like volume swells that Eddie used to do in his guitar solo, and then fucking they just recorded it. That went on into Secrets, Intruder, that went on into Pretty Woman, and then you had the little guitars that went on into Little Guitars, and Eddie had this little custom made. It looked like a Gibson Les Paul, but it was like custom made. I don't think it was made by Gibson. He used to play that. It was this little tiny fucking. It was pretty cool. The Full Bug School. Big Bad Bill is sweet. William now. He's doing the dishes. That was the song where they had Eddie's dad play clarinet on it. And he was cool, man. Like, they got him in, and he sat down, and he fucking played clarinet on the album. And Jan Van Halen. Jan. J-A-N, Jan. I'm not going to call him Jan Van Halen, because it wasn't Jan. Diver Down. It's... Like I said, I've softened over it over the years. I don't mind Happy Trails. They did it, they did it at the US Festival. They were drunk as fuck. I think what was that, like the only fucking tour date they had for this album? I don't know. I've softened over the years. I'll listen to it. I don't mind it. It's super short. It's got a bunch of covers on it. They didn't want to really go into the studio and write a bunch of shit. So they were just like, oh, we'll do a bunch of cover tunes. Throw in a couple of fresh tracks, and there you go, Warner Brothers. Let's go play the US Festival and make $1 million. Back then in '82, that was a lot of money for one show. That was a lot of money. Now it's like, but there you have it. Diver Down is number 9. Number 8. Gonna go 2012, and I know you're saying, what, you're ranking it? Well, there's more original songs on this, but A Different Kind of Truth with David Lee Roth. Two things. One, when this album came out, I didn't even know about it because I didn't care. We'd all gone through like the Van Hagar. We went through the Trainwreck, the Gary Sharon album. I mean, I didn't, because I didn't even bother with that album. But, 2012, all of a sudden, they're coming out with a Van Halen album with David Lee Roth. And you're like, I remember when I finally heard about it. I think I went out and I bought the single first, which was Tattoo. And I was not pleasantly surprised by that. I can tell you this. I was approaching this album with a lot of caution, because to me it was like no one really cared about David Lee Roth anymore. I mean, I loved like the first couple of David Lee Roths, like probably the first 3 David Lee Roth solo albums. Maybe first 4, if you count the little EP, Eat 'Em and Smile, Skyscraper, and then A Little Ain't Enough. Those 4 albums, I fucking love those albums. But I didn't really care for David Lee Roth, and I didn't really care for Van Halen anymore. They'd kind of like burned a bunch of bridges with me, because like I just wasn't into their shit. So I approached this album like with fucking like in a fucking hazmat suit. I was like, it was fucking, plutonium and fucking, and so I remember I think I downloaded the single first, and I was like, tattoo, tattoo. Oh, and it was Dave shucking and jiving, talking about Elvis and, talking about tattoos. And little did we know, like, I didn't realize David Lee Roth been fucking tattooed. He has like a fucking vest of tattoos, from Japan. Like he was flying to Japan and just getting, tattooed all over his fucking body. So well, I had no idea because I didn't follow David Lee Roth. He was a fucking EMT for a while. I didn't follow him then either. I wasn't like, oh, dude, Dave's an EMT in New York City. He'd get arrested for like smoking pot in fucking Central Park. I mean, he was like Dave Lee Roth. He was like a has been. So I kind of approached this album, and then I think I remember somebody at the time told me like, oh, Eddie's guitar work on the album. I didn't really feel that on the single, but then I went and bought it finally and listened to it. There's some good songs on here. There's the thing about A Different Kind of Truth is if it wasn't for Wolfgang Van Halen, like pushing his dad, like this album never would have came out. I think like Van Halen 3 would have been the final thing we ever heard from Eddie Van Halen. I really do. Wolfie would go down into 5150 because, he lived at the house. I think he still lives at the house. And he'd go down to the studio and he'd start pulling out old tapes and shit. And, towards the end, if it wasn't for Wolfie, like, nudging his dad, none of this stuff would have come to light ever. I don't know. Eddie had so many health problems and addictions, and then he beat addiction, but then he was having health problems and shit like that. He has a bunch of money, so, he was comfortable. I don't think he felt the urge to really go out and play or write stuff and record. So from what we hear, like, Wolfie kind of nudged him, like, dude, you should do this. And so there is songs on here that were demos from, like, back in 74 and shit like that. She's a Woman, I know, is one of them. There's a couple of songs on here that they kind of pulled out of the vaults. And, yeah. So I went and got it, and I'll tell you, Tattoo it's all right to me. She's a Woman. That's an old song. And I have all the demos and shit from like back in the early days. And a lot of live stuff. And Van Halen, people don't realize, like, Van Halen, dude, they played the clubs for a lot of years before they like finally got, well, Gene Simmons says he discovered them. And he paid to get a demo done. And I have the demo too, which has a lot of stuff that goes all through all their albums through David Lee Roth era. It's kind of funny. You can see like how, let's see, on the Van Halen demo, we got On Fire, Women in Love, House of Pain from 1984, Running with the Devil, She's a Woman, this song that, Let's Get Rockin', Big Trouble, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, Baby Don't Leave Me Alone, and Put Out the Light. That was the Van Halen demos, the Gene Simmons Van Halen demos. And so there was a lot of stuff. Then Warner Brothers did demos, and I have that too. And that's got a shit load of songs on it, but we're talking about A Different Kind of Truth. So anyways, like, She's a Woman, great song. Blood and Fire's good. Bullet Head, As Is, Out of Space. There's like a song called Stay Frosty, which like I think Dave plays acoustic on it. It sounds more like David Lee Roth solo stuff than it does like a Van Halen song. Beats Workin's cool. This is a cool album. It took me a little while to digest it because I wasn't really into Van Halen, and I started, it's funny, is like when they split originally, I was on the David Lee Roth side, And then over the years, I can't fucking stand David Lee Roth. Isn't that weird? We all grow up, right? I mean, I guess when you're a teenager, you're like, oh, David Lee Roth is fucking awesome, you know? He was a fucking rock star. David Lee Roth is one of the last. He's like Steven Tyler. He's one of the last rock stars. Ozzy, you know, fucking guys in Kiss, you know. These are some of the last rock stars. You know, the Stones, you know. These guys are all legends, you know. But like David Lee Roth, he still thinks like he's this huge star, and he's not. He hasn't been for a long time, but he's still in Van Halen, right? Not anymore. But yeah, this was a cool album. I kind of wish I would have embraced it more back in the day, but I didn't. I just kind of gave it a cursory look over, and then I kind of moved on. I wasn't like, oh my god, oh thank God. It was more like, but that's number 8, A Different Kind of Truth from 2012, and this would be the final studio album with Eddie Van Halen, the final Van Halen album ever. So, number 7. We're going to go all the way back to 1986. And there's a little album called 5150. 5150 came out in 86. So did Eat 'em and Smile from David Lee Roth. They were both doing phenomenal. I can remember going to this show in San Diego. They did a little MTV thing on it. I remember one of our friends, Jody, was like in the video from MTV outside the sports arena. You know, they showed them flying in. Everybody was at the airport. They're flying in on a PSA plane, and they, you know, everybody was like, whoa. I was David Lee Roth. I saw this show, but I was still David Lee Roth. I didn't like Sammy Hagar singing David Lee Roth songs, for one. Sammy Hagar lent credibility to Van Halen because he could play guitar, you know, and he's not amazing. He, like, you could totally tell in that whole period where he fucking worshipped Eddie because he's fucking Eddie. But, you know, David Lee Roth was a front man. He was Chuck and Jive, and he was a rock star. Sammy Hagar was kind of like the mild-mannered guy. He was in this, I mean, he did have a huge ego, like, later on, but to me, like, when I was a kid, I never understood that because I always used to look at him, especially in this, you know, he always had this weird hair, and he was wearing, like, you know, aquamarine fucking, you know, Miami Vice clothes and shit, and all of them. I mean, God, if you look at the whole Hagar era, you're like, fucking fashion victims. They look like fucking Corey Haim and Lost Boys. And I never understood. That's why when I remember there was this big Van Halen war on MTV, it was like Dave versus Van Halen, and they were sitting there like, oh, well, we have Sammy. And like, I thought Sammy was, at the time, I thought he was like the lesser. He wasn't fucking David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth's this huge rock star. He fucking had attitude. He was fucking cool as shit. Sammy Hagar looked like a guy I went to high school with. And he had sunglasses on and looked like Robert Downey Jr. and fucking, you know, and back to school, you know. I was fucking Sammy Hagar. He looked like a fucking dork. So the coolness factor was, yeah, Dave. Yeah. Sammy now will tell you like, oh, dude, I was headlining fucking stadiums and shit when I joined. Me and Van Halen were like the same. You know, we were the same when I joined, and you're like, what fucking delusional fucking world do you live in? Sammy Hagar wasn't headlining fucking arenas. If he was, I don't fucking remember that. I don't remember like Sammy Hagar with opening band. I remember Sammy Hagar and then headlining band. I don't know. Maybe in some weird place in like Mississippi or something. He played some fucking whatever the fuck they have in Mississippi. You know, I don't know, but I can tell you this: Mr. Hagar was never as big as Van Halen. You're out of your fucking mind. I don't give a fuck what you said. Dude, they went on the 1984 tour, was fucking massive, dude. What the fucking VOA tour? He played the fucking county fair. I don't know. But anyways, 5150, let's get back. 5150 came out. I remember I had fucking Eat 'em and Smile because it had Billy Sheehan, Steve Vai, Greg Bissonette, Daily Roth. It was fucking astounding. I still love that album. And then some of my friends, like, oh, Van Halen. And the thing with me is, like, they had this naked, greased up dude holding a fucking globe, a big Van Halen thingy. And I was like, with a chain on him that said 5150, and I was like, that as a dude just turned me off. It's like, I don't want to buy a fucking album with some fucking greased up bodybuilder on the fucking cover. Like, what the fuck is that? And then on the back, it was like, he had fallen and then cracked open. And then the four nerdy Van Halen guys are like inside it. And because it was so heavy, because they were so massive. And you're like, this was dork Van Halen rock. It was. The kids at school that listened to this shit were just like, they didn't fucking own fucking Fair Warning. You know? They weren't like, she looks so fucking good, so sexy and so frail. You got the bite on me, I'm going straight to hell. Like, they didn't know that shit. They knew, like, and when you do, I can never remember that fucking song. Anyways, so, Why Can't This Be Love? It's a great song. Years later now, I can appreciate this, but I remember it took me a long time to buy this fucking album because I wasn't swayed. I think I bought it right before the concert so I could like at least know what the fuck they were singing. But I was not into 5150. Now I listen to it and I understand what it is. It's a fun album. Good Enough. Why Can't This Be Love? Dreams. Summer Nights. Summer nights and my radio. Sammy Hagar says, man, that they came into jam and like Alex Van Halen was like, oh, you got to sign this contract before we play. And he told him to like, fuck off. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, let's just fucking play. And Summer Nights was one of the riffs that Eddie came up with. And Sammy just wrote the fucking lyrics on the spot and they fucking jammed it. And that's awesome because I love that song. Best of Both Worlds, Love Walks In, 5150, and Inside. Inside's fun because they're like, if you listen to it up close with the headphones on, they're saying all kinds of crazy shit like, where's the coke, you know, or they're fucking doing drugs and shit. Because Van Halen, they were coked out in their fucking skulls like this whole time, man. They were all partying, fucking drunk, and yeah, it was crazy awesome. But that's 5150 is my number 7. When saw them, they put on a great show, but then they were more like, it's like when you love Van Halen when you were a kid, you were like, oh, Van Halen, but then all of a sudden, like, everybody started liking Van Halen, like they were trendy, and, you know, when you're a kid, that kind of hurts you. It's like when Metallica broke, you know, it was like, I love Metallica, and then all of a sudden everybody else started liking Metallica, and then you kind of felt like it took something away from them because you were like, wait, that was my band, and now it's like some dorky kid, like the kid on Beavis and Butthead wearing the Winger shirt would like buy 5150, you know. They were like pop rock, you know, on keyboards. Eddie was still, you know, but Eddie was playing like a Steinbrenner, you know, and he had like, or Steinberger, not Steinbrenner, that's like the guy for the Yankees, right? Steinberger, you know, and he was like, had big parachute pants on. They were all wearing purple and pink and yellow and bright colors. And, you know, they all had like little, Sammy Hagar had like the fucking eraser head hair. Looked like fucking Kid and Play. Um, yeah. And he had like a fucking mullet. You know. It was weird. Weird times, man. But yeah, I fucking held off this album as long as I could, and then I was like, I better see what it's about. And wasn't impressed back then. Still, it's a decent album. Number 7. Number 6, though, I'm going to go OU812 from 1988. And here's the reason why. I went and saw them on Monsters of Rock in LA, at the LA Coliseum in 88. And before the concert happened, I was like, I remember this album came out, and I really liked Finish What You Started. I did. I did not like Black and Blue when it came out. I didn't. I thought that was one of those Sammy Hagar sex songs that I was like, come on, dude. But it's a good song. But I remember when Finish What You Started came out, I remember I bought this album, and I really liked that fucking... I just fucking liked the way it sounded good, man. It was a good song. I went and saw them in Monsters of Rock, and they were great. They had that place was fucking a zoo. It was absolutely crazy. I remember like they'd been there all day. Everybody was sunburned. You saw it was Kingdom Come, Metallica, Dokken, Scorpions, and Van Halen. LA Coliseum in the middle of fucking Compton. We go there, like 4 or 5 of us went there, and we were up in like shitty seats, and no one paid attention to Kingdom Come because they were fucking Zeppelin ripoff, and everybody's just walking by and flipping them off. So that was the walk around band. That was go get your T-shirt. And then Metallica came out, and I remember this was right before And Justice for All came out, so they had Jason Newsted in the band. They played one song from Justice, which was Harvester of Sorrow. Language of the man, Harvester of Sorrow. But I remember they played like one chord, like, and the whole place went fucking berserk, and fucking, everybody just fucking filed down onto the floor, ripped past the cops. The cops were fucking, I remember watching this cop swinging his fucking billy club at people, and then he finally just took off, and they all ran. And so they stopped the show, and then people started passing their chairs up, and then bouncers started beating the shit out of people, and then Hetfield. It's on YouTube. You can actually see it on YouTube. I wasn't really freaked out by that because we were just standing up in our seats, like watching people go fucking crazy, and we were just like, wow, this is nuts. Is Hetfield calling me? Boop. Throughout the day after that, dude, there was no control. So, like, they just let people, the cops just went up front and stood up by the stage so, like, they couldn't tear down the stage and kill everybody. And so we went down on the floor I think we went down when Dokken was playing. I don't remember much of them. It was during the day, so it was weird to see, like, Dokken, like, in broad daylight. And then Scorpions, we were on the floor definitely for the Scorpions. I remember that because they put on a fucking great show, and that was awesome. But it was scary. It was kind of fucking like, I remember me and my friends were just getting crushed, and we were like, if you fell down, you were gonna get trampled. So when Scorpions were done, we went up and we sat in like lower level, like right directly next to the stage. Because I was like, you know what? I don't really feel like getting killed. So, and I remember me and my buddy were sitting up there. And the show started, in the afternoon. So, and there was a lot of, they had to break down the fucking stage and do all this shit and everything like that. So there was a lot of time in between bands. And like I said, people were sunburned, because you've been out there all fucking day. You didn't bring, it was 88, you didn't bring sunblock and shit like that. You were like, Just fucking, people were squirting each other with squirt bottles, and chicks walking around with, stickers on their tits, and it was fucking crazy awesome. It was this huge festival. There was like 80,000 people. It was at that fucking LA Coliseum, so it was fucking great. But it started to get dark, and people started to get cold, because now you're sunburned, and now it's getting cold. And, people started getting restless. And Van Halen, they had fireworks and shit, so they were trying to, they had a set time to come out. It was like, as soon as it gets dark, then we'll come out. Well, somebody got bored, and somebody fucking tossed something. Then all of a sudden, and I remember this, it scared the shit out of me. We're sitting in the lower level, and all of a sudden, it was like the wave. You see, whoa, all the way around the fucking LA Coliseum was fucking massive, dude. All the way around the fucking Coliseum, all shit starts flying, dude. Fucking flying. People are throwing everything. And I remember I reached over and grabbed my friend Barry, and I was like, dude, we need to get the fuck out of here. Because, somebody throws a fucking... okay, so a week before this, I want to say, and I'll look it up and put it on here, but they played Candlestick Park in Frisco, and some chick got killed because somebody threw, and this is crazy, but somebody took a can of like Frito-Lay bean dip, those little cans look like a tuna can, it's a little bigger, threw that off the top of fucking Candlestick Park, and then fucking down there, it fucking hit this chick in the fucking head, and it fucking killed her. Like you say, if you take a fucking quarter and you drop it off the Empire State Building, it would go like 8 fucking feet into the fucking concrete because it would have so much momentum by the time it hit. That shit's running through my head. So I'm like, dude, we can get the fuck out of here, Plus, I think we were high as fuck, we probably smoked out. I think we did. We got fucking high, and then we were like, woo. It was 88, man. And I remember, like, dude, we need to get the fuck out of here. Shit's flying. And I remember this guy is standing in front of us, and he's kind of, like, standing, because we're getting hit from the people on the floor are throwing shit, and then the people above us are throwing shit, because we're in lower level, so we're in the fucking middle of the fucking cookie right here. We're fucked. And all this shit's fucking flying. And I remember this guy standing in front of us. He's standing sideways, because he's, like, warding the shit off that's coming up from the floor, and he's warding shit off that's coming from above. And he puts his hand up, and this giant fucking super big gulp hits him and goes flying all over the fucking place. And I was like, dude, Barry, let's get the fuck out of here. And then the fucking lights kicked on because they were like, I think somebody went backstage and said, like, hey, you guys need to get the fuck out there on stage because these fucking people are going to kill each other. So all of a sudden, I've told this story before, but all of a sudden, they have those concrete steps that go down into the fucking Coliseum. Here comes fucking Van Halen walking down there. Everybody stops. Shit stops flying. 80 fucking thousand people turn their head. Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. Still gives me goosebumps. It was fucking crazy. They came out and they fucking played, man, and everybody calmed the fuck down. Now, I remember leaving that because, like I said, it was in Compton, and we parked way the fuck down the street, like some alleyway. But I remember leaving that show, walking out, and there's cars on fire. There's fucking, all the windows are bashed out, spray painted. It was like walking through fucking Escape from New York. And the whole time we had to walk under they have these little tunnels, and you walk under the street. And you're in Compton. This is 88, and you're in Compton. And, there's like 5 of us, so we're like, oh, fuck, dude. Our car's probably stolen. We're fucked. And it wasn't, because we parked way the fuck down there, and we parked in some alley and went up, my buddy's truck. Everything was cool, and we drove the fuck out of there, so that was crazy. But during that concert, and I'll tell you why I don't love Alex Van Halen as much as everybody else does. During the concert, they started doing the drum solo. And he actually turned on a drum machine. I remember looking over at my buddy Barry, who's a fucking musician. I looked over at him and I was like, dude, did you turn on a fucking drum machine? He's like, oh, he totally did. So he had this drum machine going, And then Alex was just going, doo, 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 doo. Yeah, you know, I watched Greg Bissonette play the intro to Hot for Teacher, you know, where it's like, yeah, watched him do that. Because he could do that. Alex Van Halen, you know, by that time, Alex was, I think Sammy Hagar said, like, he would wear a diaper. Like, they'd put a diaper on him because he's such a fucking boozer. He'd just piss himself. Scary. Anyways, I had a lot more time with OU812 than I did with 5150 because I actually went out and purchased it. I actually liked a couple songs on it, and then I listened to it. So, OU812, I love Mine All Mine, AFU'd, all fucked up, all fired up, actually. Naturally wired. Finish What You Started, Black and Blue's cool. I didn't mind Sucker in a three-piece. It's alright. Feels so good. Cabo Wabo. Wasn't really into that, but I just spent a lot more time with this album, so I kind of like it more. Like, if I was going to put on any of the Sammy Hagar stuff, it'd probably be this fucking album. And then 5150, you know. But that's number 7. Or no, number 6. Sorry. Number 6 is OU812 from 1988. Just because I had, you know, it's like 18 when that came out. After high school, we all went on a journey. You know, drove up to LA. Went to Disneyland the day before because it was supposed to be on a Saturday, and then they had to postpone the concert because Sammy Hagar was sick. And so they moved it to Sunday. So we went to fucking Disneyland. These 4 fucking idiots. Long hair, you know, all just partying it up and having fun at Disneyland. And then we went up to see the show the next day. Sammy Hagar came out and he's all, sorry for postponing the show, but me and Eddie had to go surfing. There was one point in the concert where, like, it was so out of control, and that's why we went up. Because it was so fucking crazy. But I remember there's just a sea of fucking people, and they had really no control. Like, control was just fucking marginal. Like, at any time that crowd could have just knocked that place down and fucking rolled on. And Sammy Hagar was like, I remember he was like, hey, you, what do you do if you have to take a piss? And that's what I thought. Like, what if I have to take a piss? Dude, how the fuck are you would even get out? You just stand there and piss yourself. And that's what Sammy said. I guess you just piss yourself, right? Ow! True story. Yeah. All right. Number 5. 1984. From 1984. Number 5. Gonna go 1984 from 1984. You know, it's got that iconic cover. It looks like David Lee Roth as an angel, like a kid angel smoking cigarettes, wings, kind of, you know, like Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell kind of thing. 1984. This is that album, man. That was so huge for them. It sold over 10 million copies. It's Diamond. This one and the first Van Halen album are certified diamond. Had the intro, then went into Jump, which we all know. The funny thing about Jump is that a lot of people, like, you know, you hear Jump and you're just like, might as well jump. You know, like, everybody thinks it's like this happy. Dude, you listen to the fucking lyrics of that song, and it's fucking, like, he's talking about, like, I might as well jump. You know, like, got me sitting there, got my back against a wrecking machine. I ain't the ones that you seen. Oh, baby, see what I mean? Wow, might as well jump. Yeah. A lot of us can say that we probably don't ever need to hear Jump again. I still like it. It's fun. This was MTV huge Van Halen, man. This was Panama, you know, where Eddie's flying through the air with his Panama guitar and Dave cruising down the boulevard in that big giant red convertible monster. And this was Van Halen. They had arrived. They were a monstrous band. Top Jimmy's great. Drop Dead Legs. Hot for Teacher, House of Pain. You know, like I said, they did that on their demos back with Gene Simmons, and here it is, years later, it finally ends up on a Van Halen album. One of my favorite songs on here is I'll wait till my love burns down. Girl Gone Bad. It's a great album. I love the remaster. It sounds a lot better than the original. This was, like I said, you know, you had the first four Van Halen albums, and then you had the studio albums. To me, first four Van Halen albums were loose, kind of just played, kind of just seat of their pants, a lot of improv, a lot of just fun stuff. And then you had Diver Down, and you had 1984, which were just strictly studio albums, very produced, not a lot of fun moments, like little. I mean, like listen to like Women and Children First, where he's doing Everybody Wants Some, where he's like, I like, and then Eddie just hits a chord right over Dave, and then you hear him laughing, and then he's like, I like the way the line goes up the back of the stockings. I always like those kind of high heels. No. Don't take them off. Don't take them off. Leave them on. I kind of, you know, I as a Van Halen fan growing up, but like I kind of missed that. And definitely when I went back and discovered like the first four, I like that looseness, that feel, that just that like kind of live in the studio kind of feel. And I think the last two albums, you know, in the Dave era and the early Dave era, we're just lacking that. But these are great albums. You know, this thing went 10 times platinum in America, so it's not like this wasn't a good album. So, I saw him on this tour. I remember it was a huge, massive, had the little Van Halen shirt with the little guy with the big hammer, you know, and all that shit. It was fucking amazing. So I got to see him with Dave, I got to see him with Sammy, and then I saw Dave solo like twice, I want to say. Eat Smile Tour was fucking amazing too, so. But yeah, 1984, number 5. This is where it gets hard for me. Because I love every fucking one of these albums. But as I discovered this morning, I love some of these albums just a little, like this much. Like that much more. So I'm going to go number 4. I'm going to go Van Halen 2 from 1979. I love every one of these fucking songs. You're No Good, Dance the Night Away, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, Somebody Get Me a Shot, Bottoms Up, Out of Love, Light Up the Sky, Come see your children cause they're lighting up the sky, you won't recognize them anymore. I could even sing Daily Rock with my voice all fucked up. Spanish Fly, oh my god. Spanish Fly was fucking amazing. It was like Eddie on a fucking acoustic doing this little fucking tapping, and he's like, oh. DOA, Dead or Alive. That's one of my absolute fucking favorite Van Halen songs ever. Fucking DOA, man. Ugh. We were broken, hungry on a summer day. They sent the sheriff down to try and drive us away. Yeah, we was sitting ducks for the policeman. They found a dirty-faced kid in a garbage can. Whoa, yeah. Oh my god, I love that song. Women in Love, Beautiful Girls. It's fucking flawless, right? It is fucking flawless. The only thing is like, You're No Good and Dance the Night Away, you know, not my absolute top shelf. Oh my god, I mean, it's amazing playing on it and shit, but those are just disco-y enough, light enough for me to knock this to 4. And I had to, because fuck, the other 3 are like mind-blowing, fucking killing me. So I went number 4, Van Halen 2. had those pictures on the cover, you know, where they're doing all weird shit. And then they had like Daily Roth was sitting on a stool because he broke his foot, so he actually has a cast. He has a cane. That's why he has a little nurse. Alex has got the flaming with that big caveman hair. Alex looked like a fucking caveman on the back of this fucking album. Anyways. Yeah, number 4, Van Halen 2, 1978. Had that fucking Van Halen logo just riding high on that album cover. They weren't really overly fucking all out on their fucking album covers. They didn't need to be. Now they're all iconic, but back then it was like, I guess this is fucking Van Halen. There's their logo. So yeah, that's number 4. Number 3, and this pained me for a little bit because 1981, fair warning. It pained me because like the first 3 songs in this album are wow. Actually, first 4, probably first 5. No, this whole fucking album. This was a dark Van Halen album. This was a lot of weird experimental sounds and just fucking like a darker album. And we all know that some shit went down on Women and Children First. So this was the album like that was kind of like where the rift started. On Women and Children First, they did a photo shoot, and then with what was that guy's name? Like Helmut Newton or whatever the fuck his name was. They were taking pictures for the album cover and shit. Well, then he took David Lee Roth aside, and then he chained him to a fucking chain link fence, and they took a picture of him, and then they put it in a big giant poster inside that album, and that's kind of where it started the rift. The band is called Van Halen for a reason. And it ain't because of fucking Alex. It's because of Eddie Van Halen. He was the fucking driving force in that fucking band. He came up with all that fucking great, fucking amazing, fucking mind-bending, mind-blowing fucking guitar work. But all of a sudden, his singer, Mr. Attitude, he started getting a little like he was the man. Like people were coming to see Van Halen just for fucking Daily Roth, who really live couldn't sing for shit. And that's where that little fucking rift started. And it did. It started on Women and Children First. So this album was dark. Had some darkness to it. Had a lot of great songs though. Mean Street. Oh, one of my absolute favorite fucking Van Halen songs of all time. Fucking Mean Street, man. It's got that fucking tapping where Eddie was doing like a paradiddle from like a drummer paradiddle. But he was doing it on guitar, you know, where he would. Oh my god. Ugh. They're the living dead. Come on down to Mean Streets. Wow. What a great fucking song. Dirty Movies. This girl gets down like you don't find in the hometown. Ooh. Sinner Swing. The beginning of that, where he's like, she looks so fucking good, so sexy, and so frail. Tell me you got the bite on me. I'm going straight to hell. And now you're wasting time on the pickup lines. Oh my god, my voice is shot. Hear about it later. Fucking Unchained. Nothing stays the same. Unchained. And you hit the ground running. Oh. Hey, look at you. That suit is you. You'll get some leg tonight for sure. Tell us how you do. Oh, come on, Dave. Give me a break. One break. Coming up, Chain. Oh, God, my voice is awful. Push come to shove. So this is love. She finally kissed me. Sunday afternoon in the park and 1 foot out the door. A lot of weird fucking crazy shit, especially like, you know, towards the end, Sunday afternoon in the park, and one foot out the door, kind of one boot out the door, got one boot out the door. And those songs were like 2 minutes long. It was a strange fucking Van Halen album, but it was one of my fucking favorites. But I ranked it number 3. So 1981. Fair warning. This is where your heart and your head collide, because these last 2 albums for me are like, oh, I don't know. But I fucking stuck with my guns because I had to. So number 2, I'm going 1978, and it's going to be a little album called Van Halen. And it has Running with the Devil. It has fucking Eruption on it, which blew everybody's fucking mind when they fucking first heard that. You Really Got Me from the Kinks. Van Halen made it their own. Ain't Talking About Love. I'm the One. Jamie's Crying. Atomic Pump. Feel Your Love Tonight. Little Dreamer. Ice Cream Man, and On Fire. This could easily be my number 1 on any other given day. These are fucking. Now the thing is like, I know, and probably not a lot of people knew back then, but Van Halen had been around for a while, so like for them to come out with a fucking debut album that had all those fucking amazing songs on it. That's not a fucking mystery. It's not. Because if you listen to the Warner Brothers demos, and I have those. This is the Warner Brothers demos. Warner Brothers. So Gene Simmons was shopping around Van Halen's demo tape that he paid for. He claims to have discovered them. I don't know if Gene Simmons discovered Van Halen, because they were pretty prominent on the fucking Sunset Strip at this point. It wasn't like Gene Simmons created Van Halen. But he wanted to help him out, and so he did his demo, and then finally they got in with Warner Brothers, and then Warner Brothers sat him down and said, all right, let's slap some songs down, some demos, and see what we got. So I have the Warner Brothers demos, and it's like 26 fucking songs. Yeah, it's 26 fucking songs. So they did Get the Show on the Road, which turned into Romeo Delight. Voodoo Queen, Babe Don't Leave Me Alone, I Want to Be Your Lover, Light in the Sky, We Die Bold, Bad Women, Young and Wild, Let's Get Rockin', Put Out the Lights, Big Trouble, She's the Woman, Gonna Take a Lot of Drugs. That's a fucking song. Running with the Devil, You Really Got Me, Show Your Love, Feel Your Love Tonight, Little Dreamer, On Fire, House of Pain, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, Dead or Alive, Bring on the Girls, and that turned into like Beautiful Girls. In the Simple Rhyme, Last Night, which turned into Hang 'em High, and Happy Trails. They actually did Happy Trails on this. So this is their demo in 77, a year before the first Van Halen album came out. And so, like I said, Van Halen had been playing the clubs forever. They've been around for a couple of years, but more than a couple of years, like 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever. So, like, dude, they had a lot of songs to choose from. So they recorded a lot of songs, like those demos, and then I'm sure, like, they all got together with, like, Ted Templeman, and, like, kind of picked the ones that sounded like winners, and they fucking chose very well, because this album is fucking flawless. And all those fucking songs are fucking drop dead classic fucking Van Halen songs. Fucking Van Halen, the debut. Dude, you still listen. I still listen to that album, and you listen to it, and you're just like, fuck. Holy, you just like, I remember back, everybody I've ever talked to, when we talk about this Van Halen album, they're still just blown away by Eddie making those noises come out of that fucking guitar. It's fucking mind blowing. The guitar on the cover, it's black and white. is the original Frankenstein guitar. Eddie ended up painting it red over the top of that and modifying it and everything. It's kind of a clunker that was like, I think it was like a Charvel body, I want to say, with like some kind of throwaway neck. Eddie didn't have a lot of money, so, you know, in a lot of years, the funny thing is, and that's my favorite thing to say, Eddie used to play like Les Pauls like forever. There's a million pictures out there where he played like a Les Paul with like a pickup missing because he was always trying to figure out this tone that he wanted, and so he just started ripping guitars apart and shit. And you know, he didn't have a bunch of money, so he'd go to these little stores like Charvel and shit. He would buy the throwaways, the ones, you know, that had imperfections and shit in them, and it had a knot in it, and so he'd toss it. And he'd go buy that for $20 or $30 or whatever it cost back then in the early 70s or late middle 70s. And he fucking pieced together a guitar that he wanted the fucking sound of. Like he wanted like a Strat, but he wanted it to sound like a Les Paul, but he wanted like, you know, a fucking whammy bar on it, but he wanted a fucking humbucker in the top. He wanted to do all this shit, so he fucking just made it himself and then painted it, and that guitar became the fucking iconic fucking Frankenstrat, which has been copied like a billion times. People like are so crazy on that shit that they have pictures of it and then they fucking make one and, you know, screw a fucking quarter on it and fucking put the reflectors on the back, all this fucking crazy shit. And it's not the real one, so fuck you. So, you know, you gotta burn the shit out of it with cigarettes and stuff. I think Wolfie has the one from the 1984 one. Yeah, I saw a video with him where he has that. His dad gave him that. Fucking Van Halen. You know, he used to when they used to play on stage, like, you know, Daily Rock would tell him, turn around, like, don't, you know. So when he was doing like some of that crazy shit, like Eruption and stuff, like he would turn around so people couldn't see what he was doing because everybody was trying to cop him and shit. It's fucking mind blowing. Eddie Van Halen changed rock guitar completely. You can sit there and say Jimi Hendrix. Well, the next words out of your mouth, they need to be Eddie Van Halen. Now you have Iommi and you have fucking Blackmore and you have, you know, fucking Hendrix. But Eddie Van Halen was a fucking game changer. And anybody who doesn't understand that, like, he fucking played guitar like nobody else ever even dreamed of. I mean, the shit he was doing, you know. I mean, the tapping stuff I think he got from like Django Reinhardt, you know, because he used to do some of that stuff. But like Eddie just took it to the next level, and then he just, the sounds Eddie would get out of his guitar, you would just be like, what the fuck? So he had this thing, you know, and he used to reduce the voltage on his amp. I can't remember what the fuck that thing was called, but it was like a voltage meter, and you could turn the voltage down, and it would make the amp run on less volts, and it would, and he would get the brown sound. That was the Eddie Van Halen thing, and so that's supposed to be the brown sound. Is where, you know, he'd cut the voltage on this amp so it wouldn't explode, but or it wouldn't stop working, but it would, you know, you would get that sound. Fucking amazing. So number one, as you guys guessed, number one, 1980, Women and Children First. This is my favorite fucking Van Halen album. When I reach for Van Halen, I reach for this album. Got that cover, you know, the little inset picture of them playing, you know, they're all holding on to this fucking Explorer that Eddie fucking destroyed. He had this fucking he had this fucking Gibson Explorer that he fucking cut a big fucking hole out of. And then he had to like reinforce it because he changed the fucking way the guitar sounded, and he ended up fucking it up and he couldn't play it anymore. But he put like fucking these screws in it, like holding it together. It's on the cover there. Crazy. The black and white, or the black and yellow Bumblebee guitar, they buried with Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. Eddie was friends with him, and when he got murdered, they brought that guitar. He fucking wanted fucking Dime to have it, so he gave it to him and then buried him with it. Crazy. Um, yeah, fucking Women and Children First, dude. This is the one Van Halen album that I latched onto. 1980. I didn't buy this in 80 because I was fucking 10. But this was when I went back into Van Halen after like 1984 and like Diver Down, and I started listening to the first 4 Van Halen albums. This was the one that just hit me the most because it's just I love this fucking album. It's got, and the cradle will rock, and I say rock on. Have you seen Junior's grades? He does that little pick scratch. Fucking awesome. Everybody wants some. Amazing. Fools. Romeo Delight. Tora Tora, which is that little weird fucking thing, and then it goes into lost control, lost control, lost control. If you take your whiskey home, could this be magic or could this be love? Could this turn tragic? You know that magic often does. And I see lonely ships upon the water. Better save the women and children first. Sail away with someone's daughter. Better save the women and children first. Edward, then in a simple rhyme. Why do I love this fucking album so much? Well, you know that little playfulness that was on the first 3 Van Halen albums, this one included. And the 4th one wasn't as playful. It was a little darker. The first 3 Van Halen, there was a playfulness, there was a funness to them. And this album, to me, like, it just kind of captures that fun of Van Halen, where they weren't taking themselves too fucking seriously at this point. They were just having fun. Their songs were fun, and they were varied. They, there's fucking hard rockers, like fucking, Cradle Will Rock, and then there's like In a Simple Rhyme, which is like fucking barbershop and shit, They didn't take themselves too seriously, and there's some of the greatest shit that fucking Eddie ever laid down is on this fucking album. It's fucking amazing. So, there you have it. There's my fucking list of Van Halen albums. Number 12, Van Halen 3. Number 11, Balance. Number 10, we got For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Little pound cake. Mm-hmm. Number 9, Diver Down. Mommy didn't need no little boys. Daddy didn't need no little toys. Something like that, right? Won't you tell me where have all the good times gone? Number 8, Tattoo, Tattoo. Different Kind of Truth. Number 7, 5150. Number 6, OU812. Yeah. We know what they were talking about. Okay. Number 5, 1984. Number 4, Van Halen 2. Number 3, Fair Warning. Number 2, Van Halen. And number 1, Women and Children First. Yeah, there you have it. Oh, yeah. A couple of live albums. And the thing that's disappointing is that, they waited until 2015 to put out Tokyo Dome live in concert with David Lee Roth. Way after the fact of anybody wanting to get a Van Halen album with David Lee Roth on it. That kind of sucks. I've never owned it or listened to it, but I heard it's not good. Hopefully now that, Eddie's passed away and eventually, when they go through whatever they go through. You know, Wolfie owns it all now. And I know he's not in a fucking hurry to like go and dig through his dad's shit and put anything out. So it'll probably be a long while. Hopefully, we get some fucking live Van Halen shows. You know, I know they re-fucking mastered like all the Van Halen stuff and they didn't put anything on them. And it's kind of mystifying. But wouldn't it be great to get a fucking like live show from like fucking Women and Children First or fucking Van Halen 2 or fucking, you know, Fair Warning or fuck, I'll even take the Us Festival show or something, you know, like a live show from the David Lee Roth era that isn't live from the Tokyo Dome in 2015 where David has like, or he's bald or he's got short hair and he's wearing a business suit and he's covered in weird, creepy tattoos. He looks like your creepy uncle that you don't know that you're just like, ooh. I mean, Live Right Here, Right Now is from 1993, and that was 141 minutes long. It's fucking massive, and like I talked about it, but that was kind of what started the rift with Sammy Hagar because they literally made him re-record his fucking vocals. They like took him in the studio, handed him a fucking sheet, said, "Here's the fucking video, you fucking sing it," and he fucking did. He re-sang the entire fucking album because there were so many problems with it. I guess one part is like Eddie was playing out of tune, so Sammy was singing out of tune, so like they had to fucking that album, yeah. Sammy Hagar, I'll tell you straight up, every fucking vocal performance on that fucking album was done in the studio, and you know he had a fucking problem with that. That was what started that shit, and also too like Sammy wanted to take some time off. He had fucking kids and shit, and you know was going through a divorce and stuff. But these guys were just like, no, fuck. So that all that shit happened. So, ugh. Hey, but what can you say, man? I fucking love Van Halen. I fucking love fucking Van Halen. Deep in my heart, I'm fucking mourning Eddie's passing. I know, Wolfgang, you know, he fucking owns all the stuff now, and like I said, you know, he's not in a fucking hurry. He's not skipping down the block to fucking put out some unreleased Eddie Van Halen stuff. It'll probably be a lot of years before that ever happens. There you go, man. Fucking Van Halen. Wish we would have got more from Eddie, but like I said, Eddie had a lot of things going on that were kind of preventing him from being a little bit more articulate. He was on fucking Thriller, the #1 album of all time. He played the fucking solo on Beat It. He didn't get paid for it. He just did it. He loved fucking music, you know, and all the stuff you see with him and playing. I remember watching him on David Letterman, you know, jamming out with Paul Schaefer and the world's most dangerous band. He's on like Saturday Night Live, I think. Like, there's a bunch of little. You can find a ton of shit on YouTube. It's fucking awesome. So, I wish I had some live Van Halen from the good old days. At least, you know, anything from. I do have a show, and I'll tell a little story real quick though. I do have a Pasadena show that I've had since I was in high school. It's like on a cassette tape, about 45 minutes. And I remember the coolest thing about that is David Lee Roth comes out and he says, I'm proud to say, like, this song will be on our first album. And then they did, I can't remember what fucking song they did, but that was kind of cool, that Pasadena show. That was really hot in the bootleg circles back in the 80s, like 85. You know, it was from 77. That's a cool show. It'd be cool to, like, get something like that. I know when they were doing Tokyo Dome Live, at first Eddie wanted to do, like, the demos. And then they couldn't find them. Which is weird, because I have them. Why didn't he call me? Fucking weird. He wanted to put out the demos, like, from the 77, and they couldn't find the master tapes of them. And then he wanted to do, like, some club stuff. And I have a bunch of club stuff. I mean, dude, they would play Bowie. They would play all kinds of fucking shit. I have like fucking, God, fucking Van Halen would. I got this fucking unreleased shit. It's fucking crazy. They would do Walk This Way, Twist and Shout, fucking, they do Suffragette City, I want to say. Act Like It Hurts. I have like shoes if they did My Generation from The Who, Heartbreak Hotel, Summertime Blues, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. It's fucking crazy. Communication Breakdown, Dazed and Confused. Oh my god, there's so many fucking songs that they fucking played live back, in their fucking gigging days, There's a ton of stuff. They were influenced by everybody, but I've seen pictures of David Lee Roth dressed up like fucking Ziggy Stardust and shit. It's fucking crazy. So there's a ton of stuff. And they kind of wanted to do that instead of this. That's kind of the funny thing is like Eddie Van Halen was kind of reluctant to release this. He was trying to look for cool stuff that like fans would like. But they couldn't find the master tapes of the fucking demos, and then the club stuff. The sound quality just was. I couldn't clean it up enough to put it out, so they put out Tokyo Dome Live, and they got a lot of shit for it because they're like, David Lee Roth sounds like shit. But it'd be great to hear something from like fucking 1979 or 80. I'm sure they recorded some of their shows, so ears open. But like I said, Wolfgang, that's the thing is people think, I watch Wolfgang. I've seen him like he does his Twitter and he does a bunch of because he's coming out with his album Mammoth WVH, and I've heard some songs. They're cool. They put out that Distant song, and they got it's like home movies that Valerie Bertinelli made with. Wolfie and his dad, and it's personal, but everybody's like freaking out, like, oh, dude, we all have fucking home movies of our fucking kids. Eddie Van Halen was a dude just like anybody else. He was this amazing guitar player, and he had a bunch of money too. Wolfie gets to suffer because his dad was this fucking huge rock star, and his mom's this like TV star, and people kind of. Fans think that they have like this little thing where they they have rights, and you could get the impression that you get from Wolfgang Van Halen is you can take your rights and shove them up your head. You have no rights. That's his dad and it's his family, and he doesn't owe you shit. And I applaud Wolfgang for that because you know what, fans don't, they don't fucking deserve anything. You got the music, you got the t-shirts, you got to see the shows, you got the home videos and shit like that. That's what you got. And the man, Eddie Van Halen, the man, versus Eddie Van Halen, the rock star, are two totally different people. And you got the rock star part, and that's all you deserve. Everything else, all that personal shit, it's none of your fucking business. And Wolfgang can do whatever the fuck he wants. He could go and burn fucking 5150 to the ground with all the tapes in it, and that's his fucking prerogative, dude. He fucking owes you nothing. Eddie Van Halen gave you what you got, and be happy for what you got. And I am. I fucking applaud Eddie. I know in the last later years, it was hard to be a fucking Van Halen fan because you just didn't know what the fuck was going on. But you know what? I applaud that too because keep it fucking personal. Look at David Bowie, man. David Bowie's fucking dying of like liver cancer. He comes out with an album, goes and does a little photo shoot because he lived in New York City with where he had the hat and he was doing stuff. 3 years later, he's fucking dead. Put out Black Star on his birthday, and 3 days later, he's fucking dead. And the fucking world was like, what the fuck? But we got Black Star, which was kind of like his epitaph. And then once he died, I remember getting Black Star when it came out, and then he was gone. And then going back and listening to Black Star, and it kind of took on a whole different meaning. Because Bowie knew he was fucking dying. He just fucking tell anybody. Because you know what? It's none of our fucking business. We're fans. But dude, that's the bad thing about being a fan. To some people, they take it to that extra extent where they think like the fucking artist or something owes them. Dude, you gotta understand, these are fucking people just like you and me. They have their personal life, their family, their fucking close friends. You're not one of them. You never will be. So calm the fuck down. You get what you get. You get what they give to you, not what they give to you, what you pay for. But I like I said, listen to some of Wolfie's stuff. It's cool. It's nothing fucking mind blowing, but it's cool. And he's just a big kid that lived with his parents, and he's kind of sheltered. And hey, I know I bashed him on some of my earlier shows because, fuck, dude, you grew up in all of our dreams. That would be our dream to fucking live it. Eddie Van Halen's your dad. But that's where that's where Wolfgang draws the line. He's very defensive. He's fucking says but shit. Always gets a fight with people on Twitter and shit, and tells them to go fuck themselves, stuff like that. I don't know, like totally understand. I mean, we all don't understand it because we didn't fucking live that life. But Wolfgang, he fucking dude. You grew up in Hollywood Hills, 5150s down in the tennis court, the fucking racket. Well, it was supposed to be a racquetball court. Behind your house. I mean, you're in a different world than we are. The little fucking trolls, the little fucking sheep. But fuck, let him do what he's gonna. And it's funny how like everybody kind of well wishes him to, like, oh, I hope that kid does good. And it's like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm not trying to be. He's my kid's age, and it seems like my kids moved out a long time ago. It seems like Wolfie didn't because he's like fucking sheltered life. But cool for him, man. Like I said, he doesn't have to give a shit. He can hold on to all that stuff that his dad's stuff, all he wants. It's his fucking prerogative. Unfortunate thing is like a lot of people nowadays, because people are such fucking nutballs and crazy people. Can't even have like a place where Eddie Van Halen's buried. Eddie Van Halen's not buried. David Bowie's not buried. Like, none of these people get buried. They're gone. Prince. Where the fuck is Prince buried? Nowhere. Can't do it because people are such fucking nutballs that they're like fucking. So, down in Pasadena, there's a corner and there's like a little curb and it says Van Halen. It's like carved into the concrete. And Eddie and Alex did it when they were kids. And that became like the shrine. And then like, I guess like their parents' old house, became the shrine. That's where people just kind of go and leave shit. Because they feel they have to. It's weird. This is weird. But it'd be cool to like be able to go. Like Ronnie James Dio, you can go visit him. Says Ronnie J has his autograph on the outside of his tomb. And it says Man on the Silver Mountain. At least you could go and there's where Ronnie is, So that's just weird for me, but hey. But like I said, like Wolfgang doesn't need to put Eddie in a place where you and me and anybody else can go visit him, because as far as he's concerned, Eddie gave you what he gave you. He fucking keep his dad in a fucking urn up on the fucking mantle, and there you go, and that's cool, man. None of our fucking business. So, but yeah, I think Wolfgang though. Wish him luck. I'll buy his album. I bought a couple of singles that come out. It's cool. Like I said, it's cool, but it's something like mind blowing. It's not the first fucking Van Halen out, and it shouldn't be because he's not fucking Van Halen. He's a Van Halen, but he's not Eddie Van Halen. So, and that was the other thing too. When so they came out with the Grammys. And everybody was up in arms because they showed Eddie, and you could actually hear like eruption in the background, and they showed him for a couple of seconds. And all of a sudden, people like Eddie Trunk and everybody like lost their fucking shit because they felt like they didn't fucking honor Eddie as much as. Well, first of all, the people at the Grammys called Wolfgang and said, "Hey, can you come and play fucking Eruption while we show your dad's picture?" And Wolfgang said, "Fuck no." Which I get it. You want fucking Wolfgang up there playing fucking Eruption? Why? He didn't fucking write it. You know? Would you like me to go wear my dad's suit to, that's fucking weird, right? So he said no. He said he didn't think that was cool. So they just put a picture and they actually played Eddie's fucking music. Well, then everybody lost their fucking mind because they're like, what a fucking travesty, Well, first of all, it's the fucking Grammys. I haven't watched the Grammys ever. Fuck, maybe back when Michael Jackson fucking moonwalked and shit. Like, but who fucking cares about the fucking Grammys? Okay. Second of all, number two, what did you think they were gonna do? You fucking Van Halen nuts. What did you think they were gonna fucking stop construction and fucking fucking vamp the whole stage, painted like fucking Frankenstrat, and fucking, it's gonna be everybody is wearing Van Halen t-shirts. I think fucking Beyonce is gonna come up in her Van Halen t-shirt. Fucking Gaga, maybe. She probably loves Van Halen because Gaga's cool as fuck. But did you think that? Like, that's what's so weird about these people is like they go on these rants about like, oh, how disrespectful. Dude, not everybody loves Van Halen like you do. Van Halen, they came out with an album in 2012. It's fucking 9 years later. Eddie's gone. A lot of people fucking died last year. A lot of fucking people. Neil Peart. I didn't hear everybody losing their fucking shit because Neil fucking didn't have a drum solo for the fucking Grammys. Calm fucking down. Everybody has to bitch about all this little fucking bullshit. Who cares? Hold Eddie in your heart the way you should and don't worry about that shit. It's the same with the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, Van Halen's in it, right? But, like, I don't know why people, like, everybody has to, like, oh my god, they put Iron Maiden's not in the fucking Hall of Fame. First of all, do you think Iron Maiden gives a fuck if they're in the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No, they fucking don't. Okay? You do, because you gotta freak out about it, but they don't give a fuck. As a true fan, Iron Maiden fan, well, you think like I'm like, oh, I like Iron Maiden, but God, I really wish they were in the Hall of Fame, and I'd like them that much more. No, I don't give a fuck. It's a building, like I said, it's a fucking building in Cleveland, Ohio. Who gives a fuck? It's no slight on fucking Cleveland. I was in Pittsburgh and I was doing a tour of the fucking Heinz Field where the Steelers play. I'm a Steelers fan. And they said, they would take their trash and throw it in the river and it would end up in Cleveland where it belonged. Yeah, Cleveland. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. No one cares. They put Rush in, they put Sabbath in, Van Halen's in there, Kiss is in there. And LL Cool J, I don't know if he got in yet, but I know Madonna's in there and Run DMC, and then after that, I could fucking care less. Like could care less. Everybody needs to calm down on this shit. Van Halen is fucking Van Halen and will always remain Van Halen. I fucking love them. They gave us 12 fucking albums. We can cherish them forever until we die. So that's what we get. Never going to be another Eddie Van Halen. Sorry. Never. They fucking made that man, broke the mold, threw it in the trash. And we got to from 1978 to 2020, we got to fucking hear his stuff, or at least, what he gave us. So we can fucking be thankful for that and fucking remember fucking Eddie as being fucking Eddie. And I just remember Eddie as a kid with them fucking, he'd have those fucking Oshkosh Bagosh fucking red, black, and white striped fucking overalls. And he was a fucking rock god, dude. And he was just up there smiling and jumping and fucking just putting fucking smoking a cigarette, putting it on the top of fucking Eddie Van Halen, man. He's fucking joy to watch, and he was fucking amazing. So, Van Halen, everybody stay metal out there, yeah!